I just recently found out that trauma is actually the Greek word for physical wound or injury. I was listening to the Steve Bartlett podcast. His podcast is called Diary of a CEO, and he had a doctor on there, Dr. Gabor Mate. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I was listening to it on Spotify. I know Diary of a CEO podcast is also on YouTube. Go check that podcast out. It really goes deep into trauma and healing. It was a really great listen. I'm only going to share what inspired me from the podcast. So, getting back to this word trauma and it being the Greek word for wound, in today's life world, we use the word trauma a lot, and we associate that with a lot of emotional wounds that we've had or that some of us have. We have traumas, we have triggers. We talk about this all the time. And even Dr. Mate talks about how when a wound hasn't healed and you continue to touch it, then you trigger, the pain or the inflammation that wound has. And for us emotionally, when we haven't healed and we get triggered by an experience or by a person or something like that, then it puts us right back into that state of being when that emotional trauma occurred. And I started thinking about something. What if we reacted to our emotional traumas like we do our physical traumas? Would we be able to get into a healing place much faster and get, on with being in a better vibrational place, right? Attracting more of the experiences that we want if we're able to get through our emotional traumas much quicker. And I'm not suggesting that a person that has experienced an intense type of trauma or emotional or physical trauma, I'm not suggesting that, you have to get over that quickly, because I'm not you. And I definitely can't say, oh, just get over it. I'm not going to speak diminutive about anything that a person has gone through. I know that I've experienced my own traumas throughout my life. I have a lot of early childhood traumas that I've worked through, that I've processed through, and sometimes I still continue to process through them. I went to therapy. This is a lot of the reason why I became a student of metaphysics and spiritual teachers, is because I wanted to get to a place of healing. I wanted to feel better about myself. I wanted to feel better about life in general. I didn't want to continue to have thoughts of suicide, which is a post for a whole nother thing. But anyway, I just wanted to get to a better feeling place. And so that's why I do the work that I do. That's why I continue to do this work. That's why I continue to listen to a lot of the speakers and read the materials that a lot of speakers have. I don't know if you can hear the lawn, the landscaper behind me, but if you do, I apologize for that, because I hear it on the microphone. But anyway, I would like to, in this post, just talk about, if we react much faster to the traumas that maybe aren't so intense, can we get to a healing place much faster? Or can we, pivot and turn ourselves into the direction of the things that we want much quicker because we responded much faster? So, I love this to share stories. And I was just thinking, when I decided to create this post, maybe about a couple weeks ago, I was making these jerkfish tacos. And I was doing the most on this day. I was doing the most for these tacos, y'all. Like, I made the tortillas from scratch, and I added cauliflower in them, because I always like to sneak vegetables into a place where I can sneak them. Had the fish marinating, all that stuff. So When I say I was doing the most, I had so many appliances going. I had things in my air fryer, I had the stove top going, and I had my electric countertop griddle out. And so I was, cooking with all these things. I The air fryer went off. I reached for the basket. I took the basket out of the air fryer because I forgot what I was cooking in there. But anyway, I set the air fryer basket on the countertop and it was hot. I went on and did some other things, and then I came back to the area where this air fryer basket was. And I reached for something that was near the basket, and I touched the side of the basket with my forearm. Now, I didn't let it stay on there. Immediately, I felt the sting. I pulled back, and then I continued to finish making the meal. I felt the trauma. Later on that night, I saw that there was a red mark on my arm. And I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and deal with this now that I'm done eating, put away the dishes, all that stuff. I'm going to deal with this wound before I go to bed because I didn't want it to leave a mark. So I go into my bathroom, I'm going to my drawer in the bathroom, and I reach for this topical stuff that I bought from the pharmacy. And I was remembering right before I used the topical stuff to put on the burn, I remembered that I used it for something else just a couple months prior, and it really didn't work that well, right? So I was curling my hair, and I had the curling wand in my hand, and it slipped and it touched the side of my jaw just for, again, a couple seconds. And I don't want you to think that, I'm into this, I'm trying to hurt myself, because I'm definitely not. It was just a fluke, something that happened. The wand slipped, it touched the side of my face, and it left a mark. And the mark is still there. So anyway, I was like, well, this topical stuff didn't work well for my face, so maybe I should try something else for my arm. I saw on my countertop that I had some vitamin E oil, and I said, well, let me see what this vitamin E oil will do. And I immediately started applying it on my forearm, and I put the vitamin E on the scar on my face as well. I said, let me see if it'll help. Well, something happened. After a few days of applying this vitamin E, the mark on my arm went from red to brown. But then a few days after that, the brown started lifting. I saw that the vitamin E oil was working, and it was taking away the scar that I thought was going to be left after, this burn happened. And even when I started putting the vitamin E oil on my face, it started lifting up that mark on my face as well. And now it's doing much better. It's improved much more. And so that got me to thinking, like, man, if we could respond a lot faster to our own traumas or wounds, again, can we get into a better feeling place much faster? There's 3 things to try to help you to get through trauma. So let me go ahead and share them now. So tip number 1, embrace the trauma. Don't ignore it. Don't, say to yourself, it didn't happen. I know there's some YouTubers that I've seen that say, be delusional about the thing, go delulu. No, embrace it. It happened. It's a real thing. It happened. And again, now I'm talking about emotional traumas. I'm not talking about physical traumas. With emotional traumas, it happened. So embrace it. It was real. Give yourself the time to acknowledge that thing happened in your life. Give yourself time to embrace it. And then give yourself grace and give yourself love, especially if, maybe you're partly responsible for that thing happening. Show yourself grace and show yourself love. Just embrace that thing, and then get to processing through it. The next tip that I want to share is respond. Respond to the trauma, however you need to respond to it to get to a healing place. Like I responded with the vitamin E oil, and I pivoted because I saw that the other stuff that I was using from the pharmacy wasn't working, and now it was time to try a different approach that helps me in this scenario. But the quick response to it, I didn't wait days in order to treat the wound. I responded to it, that evening before I went to bed. So, when we're talking about responding to emotional traumas or dealing with emotional traumas, respond quickly after you've embraced it, after you've given yourself a grace period to be able to acknowledge that that thing happened, that it was real. Now let's get into how do we pivot into a better feeling place? What are some of the things that you need to do to get yourself into a high vibrational place? Is it, movement? Is it exercising? Is it taking a walk? Is it taking deep breaths? Is it meditating? Is it listening to music? Is it, listening to something funny? I like to listen to humor in order to sometimes break me out of a low period that I'm having in my life. I exercise. Me doing some type of movement, again, to help me lift my mood. I respond to whatever the trauma is in a way that's going to help me to feel better. So that's the second tip. First tip, embrace the thing that it happened. Second tip, respond. Now let's talk about the third tip, release. I say this in some other posts too. I think I might refer to it as relaxing. Release. You have to release. Just like the wound on my arm and the example that I gave, I could not speed the healing up. I did improve the way that it healed by using a different method, but my arm was going to heal when it was time to heal. Broken bones. I've never had any broken bones specifically, but I've known people that have had broken bones. The broken bone always heals when it's time for it to heal. So you have to release it and let it do its thing. With the trauma, emotional trauma, release it. Now that you have embraced it, you've responded to it in order, to doing whatever method or tool that you use to help you get to a better feeling place. Now release it. Release the trauma. Release the hold that it has on you, or at least release your emotions from the trauma so that you don't keep having an emotional response to the thing, so that you don't continue to be triggered over and over and over again by a different person, by a different event. Release the thing. Release it for yourself. This life that we're living, this human experience that we're having, I truly believe that it's not supposed to be as hard as we make it to believe, or as we make it to be, or that we've programmed it, or we've been programmed to believe that it is. And I'm just trying to share the information that I come across that inspires me, that seems to help me, and in hopes that it helps you to get through some of the things that may have been keeping you anchored into a place that you don't want to be in. And my goal is to just help you grow with intention. So hopefully I've been able to do that in today's post. So just to reiterate, the 3 things that may be able to help you to get through your non-intense emotional traumas. The first tip is to embrace the thing, embrace it because it was real. The next is to respond to it. So respond by trying to get yourself into a better place vibrationally, a higher place, and then release it. Let the thing go. Let it, as you go through the processing of it, let it go as quick as you can, as best as you can, so that you can start attracting in more of the things that you want and you can be less triggered. But if you need more information, you can check me out, tap in, go to my website. My web address should be located in the banner, in the profile or bio, or the description box wherever you're watching this video. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you the next time.